Hey everyone, I'm Nodvoro, and today we're revisiting our horror character tier list as we rank video game characters by how tasty they would be for Pennywise the Dancing Clown. And before you book purists tell me Pennywise is just one of its forms and is actually an imperceivable shape-shifting entity from space, I know that, but
be cool. Once. Please. Just once. Can you just once be cool? Once. Please.
So we're all on the same page, I'm going to dumb this right down so I don't have to explain over 1,000 pages of Pennywise lore. Simply put, it feeds on people, mainly children, as he's able to elicit fear easier from them, and as he would put it,
tasty, tasty, beautiful fear.
Basically, the more scared our video game characters would be if they encountered Pennywise, the more delicious they would taste. And speaking of our list, let's run through the tiers now. Our first and least tasty tier today is the Prince Albert in a Can tier, which gets its name from a classic prank call, but more importantly, an all-timer scene from the It miniseries starring Tim Curry.
Do you have Prince Albert in a can? You do? Well, you better let the poor guy out.
It's bottom of our list because Prince Albert in a can is actually tobacco and is inedible. If you fall in this tier, it's reserved for the worst tasting of the worst. The next rank up is the rank, named after the sound you make when you try something gross and spit it back out. If you fall in this tier, you're either not that scared or you taste like my cooking. This is above Prince Albert as it's still edible.
This coffee smells like
Hitting our middle rank today, this tier is called the, yeah, I guess it's not too bad for the price, which gets its name from what you say after you get takeaway, and it's nothing to write home about, but you're satisfied enough and you didn't pay a mozza for it. This is for the fence-sitting tasters who you'd eat when you're hungry, but never really crave them. Our second to top tier is going to be the tasty, tasty, beautiful fear tier. Say that 3 times fast.
B-E-A-beautiful.
And is getting closer to the Michelin star character, but just falls short as they're not completely terrified. It comes from the way that Pennywise himself describes a taste of fear, and I bet you're thinking right now, how is that not the top tier? But the top tier is reserved for who I believe would be the most delicious entity in the Stephen King verse, and Pennywise's mortal enemy, Lionel Richie. And that's the all night long tier, which is reserved for the most delicious children, video game characters, who have nothing but fear for Pennywise. So with all our ground rules set up, let's get to the list. Doom Guy. What an unexciting way to start our list, putting a professional demon hunter against a space demon. Pennywise's whole shtick is to shapeshift into the victim's biggest fears, to season them up. However, if he came up against Doom Guy, I think even he'd just stand there twiddling his thumbs not knowing what to do. Doom Guy's fought scary demons in hell, and unfortunately for Pennywise, he didn't float down there, so for that reason, Doom Guy gets a resounding Prince Albert in a Can rank. As I can only imagine he would taste like a terrible, inedible, overcooked tough steak or something like that. The guy who won the lottery from New Vegas.
Yeah! Who won the lottery? I did! Smell that air!
Oliver Swanwick wins the lottery only to run out of Nipton and straight into Derry. While he's on top of the world by the time he meets the courier, I think Pennywise would be able to delve into his mind with some pretty intense hallucinations. Maybe not as bad as cutting off a pair of snail eyes, like in that episode of Welcome to Derry, but definitely up there with some of the worst, as he'd have to rehash the memories of his fellow gang members being hung, tortured, and mutilated by the Legion. I think at this stage in his life, Swanwick's mind would be pretty easy enough to break, making him a decent feast for it when he decides to eat him. He is a little nutso and might not truly understand the danger he's in, so for that reason, the guy who won the lottery in New Vegas goes in the, yeah, I guess it's not bad for the price tier. Ted Mosby. Did I debate not continuing this running joke for this episode? Maybe a little, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity to say that this matchup between Ted Mosby and Pennywise would be
Legend? Wait for it.
legendary. I think Ted's biggest fear during the How I Met Your Mother run is being alone and never finding love, which is a bit of a bummer for the viewer if he did ever encounter Pennywise. I can't imagine Pennywise would be able to shapeshift into anything too interesting or frightening, maybe the captain on the boat in the middle of the ocean, but even that's a pretty anecdotal fear. Whilst Ted can be scared, I feel like he's embraced fear, as he mentions in the season 5 episode The Window.
If you're not scared, you're not taking a chance, and if you're not taking a chance, then what the hell are you doing?
So for that reason, I'm putting him in the tier. The Super Mario Brothers. We've got an absolute twofer for Pennywise with these two brothers. You're kidding yourself if you don't think coward Luigi isn't the weak link in this combo who jumps at the side of his own shadow. Pennywise wouldn't have too much to do in this case and would stick to some pretty simple scares like a poltergeist to lather the tall green one up, and then he'd make quick work of him, as I don't think Luigi's vacuum would do all that much as a defense. Fun fact that's completely made up is that Luigi's mansion was actually designed after the Neibolt house from the It book. After finishing off Luigi, I feel like Mario would be pretty easy to scare. Maybe you get a quick Bowser or a creepy version of his dead brother. So I think these two would make a pretty delicious quality and quantity Italian meal. The Mario brothers are going in the all night long tier. Abe. As I was writing the script, I unlocked a core memory of Abe from Oddworld and randomly playing it at my uncle's house as a kid. I don't know anything about Abe or Oddworld universe at all, other than the fact that this guy looks absolutely disgusting to eat. Even if he was completely marinated in fear, he just doesn't look that delicious in the slightest. So for that, he's going in the tier, as he may be edible if Pennywise sauteed him up with butter, but who knows. A grunt. Ungoi? Ungoi? Here we go again. I pissed off a lot of people when I said Jason Voorhees would beat Master Chief in a fight in my first tier video, and I'm steering into the skid as we revisit Halo. I'll preface this again with I know fuck all about Halo, even though I've played all of them, but what I do know about these grunts is they do absolutely nothing but cower in fear when you run at them. For that reason alone, I think Pennywise would be able to deliver some of his easiest scares, taking the shape of Master Chief running towards them before completely devouring them. The grunts would put up less than a fight than Georgie, however they do kind of look like a turtle, and we know Pennywise's relationship with turtles, so rather than the top ranking of All Night Long, we're going to put them in the tasty beautiful fear tier. Cole McGrath. Holy shit, is this a blast from the past. I bet you forgot about the infamous series. Cole McGrath would be perfect prey for Pennywise, as they're just a bundle of trauma and guilt, which I think Pennywise would prey upon pretty easily. This entry I'm talking about the gruff Jason Statham Cole from the first game, and not the disgusting redesign from the second. I think from the first game alone, Pennywise could prey on the fact that he let his missus die when he chose to save the doctors over her, and he'd be able to marinate him up pretty good. But that being said, if you did eat Cole, he does have electric powers, so I feel like you get a bit of a shock in your mouth. Like when you rub your feet on the carpet and end up touching something that shocks you. And because I don't think that sounds too pleasant, he'll go in the, yeah, I guess not too bad for the price tier. Prince Albert in a can. Prince Albert in a can would make a truly disgusting meal, and definitely can't feel fear, because even though it may seem like it, it's not actually a guy named Prince Albert in a can, as it would have you believe.
Well, you better let the poor guy out.
If Pennywise did, however, think it was a person in a can and tried to eat it, I feel like it'd even make a cosmic entity go as he spat it out. For that reason, Prince Albert in a can goes in the tier. The Boulder from Resident Evil 5. I feel like the hallucination here would be crazy. I can only imagine Pennywise would use the only thing this thing has ever seen, which would be Chris's manly fist striking it over and over again, with each punch making it more and more delicious as the fear builds up. You could also put the argument forward that each punch would work like a meat tenderizer to this boulder, making it succulent by the time it gets eaten. All this being said though, we have to assume that the boulder is sentient, as after all, it is a boulder, and because of that, it's going in the tasty beautiful fear tier. And for those disappointed I used Leon in the thumbnail, but he wasn't going to get an entry, he's in the Prince Albert in a can tier, because any character that can survive that opening village scene in Resident Evil 4 and not curl up into a ball and cry, I think truly has no fear, and even the deadlights couldn't stop him. Kangen Kodos, but not from the Simpsons TV show, or even Simpsons Hit and Run, but actually from the PlayStation 1 game Simpsons Wrestling. Now we're just getting silly, so chuck them in a random tier and let's be done with it. And that's our list. Let's have a look at the final results and see who Pennywise is giving 5 stars on Yelp to and who is spitting out. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you made it this far, I appreciate your patience and apologise for how out of control that got towards the end. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as we continue our not so serious recap series Too Long Didn't Play, with the next game we're covering being The Outer Worlds 2, and make sure to leave a comment on how you think the guy who wears a moon mask would taste for Pennywise.
Kiss me, fat boy.
On that note, I've been Nodvori, this has been me rambling for 10 or so minutes, and you've been great.